Okay, obviously, if you are a football fan of a certain generation from the 80s and the 90s and into the early 2000s, we have awoken today to the sad news of the passing of former Juventus and Chelsea legend Gianluca Vialli. Now, no one could begrudge him for being the assistant to Mancini when Italy won the Euros a year and a half ago. No one could begrudge him that, considering his battle against cancer that he's fought basically to the end since 2017. He was allowed special leave from the Italian national setup to continue his cancer treatment. It has sadly proven to be not very successful. And having actually met Vialli a couple of times when I was actually at school, because one of my classmates, his father, was also a Chelsea player in that squad that he was part of in the mid to late 90s. Very with a classroom full of 6 and 7 year olds, he was so approachable, and he had a lot of time and a lot of patience because most of us at the time were Man United, Arsenal, and Blackburn fans. It wasn't fashionable to be a Chelsea fan. With the kids that I grew up with in the area I grew up in, not fashionable to wear a Chelsea kit with the Autoglass sponsorship at that particular time until they started winning. But he was very patient. He was very knowledgeable in the game, and he had a lot of time for fans. Not like today where you see players now with their little, their Instagram kind of PR kind of thing where they're doing it for the clicks, they're doing it to look good rather than actually interact on a personal level with the fans. Vialli was very, very well known for doing this. He would stay behind after training. He would stay behind after matches and actually sit down and talk to fans, not just about, say, Chelsea or Juventus, but just about the game in general and about non-footballing matters as well. He would be very, very one-to-one with a fan. If you had a question, he would answer it. He was also very well known in the media post his playing and managerial days. On British and Italian TV, very well respected as a pundit. He did a lot of work for the BBC, a lot of work over in Italy with their major broadcasters as well. But he actually started off with quite humble playing beginnings for a very unknown club, to be fair. He was born in Cremona in Italy on the 9th of July 1964, and this is what's scary about how young he was as he passes away. He didn't even make 60, he was 57 years old. He was born in Cremona in Italy, and of course he's passed away in London. He had a great affinity for the UK, and he was still basically an adopted Londoner at heart. He passed away early this morning, 6th of January 2023. And 2023 has been a crap year if you are a sports fan. Obviously, we've had the funeral of Pele. We've lost Ken Block. If you are an NFL fan, there's been several bereavements and near bereavements in the NFL. Obviously, what happened in the Bengals-Bills game on Monday Night Football has really scared a lot of people and shocked a lot of people. Very, very similar to, obviously, what happened to Christian Eriksen and Chris Pronger in the NHL many, many moons ago. With similar situations, thankfully that player involved is in a more stable condition now, but very scary instance. So 2023 in a sports point of view, in fact, it's not a point of view anyway, we lost Vivian Westwood for crying out loud the other day as well, has been pretty crap. But on a positive note, Vialli, as a player, fantastic player manager, rarity, and a successful player manager as well. Just a legend of the game. So let's break down his playing and managerial career. Let's send him off in style. So he plays his early professional career with Cremonese, his local club in Italy. Between 1980 and 84, he played 105 times for his boyhood local team, 105 times, 23 goals in all competitions, before making his first big move to Sampdoria. Now, Sampdoria right now are in the bottom three in Serie A, not having a good time. How they could use a Vialli up front, banging in the goals. He was a Sampdoria player for a very successful spell in at that time. For Sampdoria between 1984 and 1992. They won a lot, both domestically and in Europe. 223 appearances in all competitions, 85 goals. That's a pretty good return for an Italian striker, considering Italian football at this time is more defensive than free-flowing. And there are some Italian sides now that are a little bit more free-flowing and score more goals. At that time, that's a pretty good return for the Italian league and the style of football that Italy is playing at that time. And of course, he moves to Juventus in 1992. He's there until 96. 102 appearances, 38 goals. So he's still a very, very useful attacking player. Very, very useful up front as an attacking midfielder or striker. Very, very useful. Before his final club, Chelsea, where obviously English fans will remember him most fondly. Although, if you were watching Channel 4's coverage of the Italian football between 1990 and about 2000, 2001, you will remember his time at Sampdoria when he had the curly hair. You will remember his time with Ravanelli at Juventus, and of course Chelsea, following on with Ruud Gullit as manager, and then following on when he takes over with a young Gianfranco Zola. 96 to 99, 58 games, all competitions, most of them as player manager, 21 goals. So he actually gets better with age, and the English game suits his style of play. International level, Italy under 21s between 83 and 86, 20 games, 11 goals, so not a bad return as a youth international. And with the main side between 85 and 92, 59 international caps, 16 goals. So the style of play changes, and the quality of defences are hard to break down. But in the era he is playing, in Italian football for the national side and his three club sides in Italy, very more defensively minded Italian style. So it's harder for players to get a lot of goals. He actually doesn't do too badly on the goal scoring front. And then in English football, when he's in his 30s, fantastic. Then his managerial career, while he's still playing professionally at the top level in the Premier League, he's a player manager for Chelsea for a season in the 98-99 season before becoming permanent manager in 99-2000. This is after Ruud Gullit gets the job. He actually wins silverware as a player manager. Let that sink in. He takes over midway through the 97-98 season, so it's actually a season and a bit as player manager. Let that sink in. So he's got to think, I'm not playing well today, I'm going to have to come off and bring on a younger player. He's going to have to eat his pride at times and sub himself off. Let that sink in. Yet his goals per game average has gone up. That is something. So he's a player manager and manager for Chelsea for a couple of years between 98 and 2000. He had an unsuccessful spell at Watford, so his win percentage at Chelsea is over 50%. At Watford, it's less than 40, and it doesn't go so well. So his actual managerial career is very, very short. Then he gets brought in with Mancini, with the Italian national side as an assistant, and of course they win Euro 2020. So that's a fitting way, I think, to end his active involvement in football. I know Italy failed to qualify for the World Cup, and that is a big disaster for Italian football. But for Vialli, I think he's capped off playing a managerial career and his lifelong involvement with the sport in fantastic fashion. Now, his honours as a player, I think his most successful spell is actually with Sampdoria. There's a reason why he's out of all the clubs he's played for, he plays the most games there, scores the most goals there. So Sampdoria in the late 80s, early 90s is a fantastic team. Fans of a certain age will let you know that. So he wins the Serie A title in the 1990-91 season. He wins the Coppa Italia with Sampdoria 3 times. But in the 84-85, 87-88 and 88-89 seasons, that is a pretty dominant side in Italian football. The Supercoppa Italia he wins in 91 with Sampdoria. Cup Winners' Cup 89-90. They're runners-up in 88-89. So a European trophy, plenty of domestic trophies. Sampdoria right now are missing a Vialli. But late 80s, late 90s, Sampdoria were one of the best teams, not only in Italy, but in Europe. They're also a European Cup, which is now the Champions League runner-up in 91-92. So this Sampdoria side was fantastic. He then makes the move to Juventus. The trophies do not stop. He's a Serie A winner in the 94-95 season, Coppa Italia in 94-95, so a League and Cup double, Supercoppa Italia in the 1995-96 season, Champions League winner in 95-96, UEFA Cup winner in 92-93, and a runner-up in 1994. So he's won, at that point, all the European trophies you can win at club level. Got the hat-trick as a player. Chelsea, he continues the winning as a player and most of these trophies as a manager as well. FA Cup 96-97, League Cup 97-98 when the League Cup was really worth playing for, and the old Cup Winners' Cup in 97-98. So he still continues the silverware coming in. Doesn't win the league with Chelsea because that doesn't happen until obviously the Abramovich era. As a manager, he wins the FA Cup 99-2000, League Cup as a player manager 97-98, Charity Shield 2000, Cup Winners' Cup player manager 97-98, and the Super Cup, UEFA Super Cup in 1998. And of course, he was his last piece of silverware as a manager or a player is being assistant to Mancini for the Italians' Euro 2020 victorious campaign. And that is a fitting end and tribute, I think, to him. Is the scenes a year and a half ago when he's lifting that trophy, I think sum up Vialli as the man. So patient with fans, engaging. The engagement he would have, and one of the most likable characters you could ever meet. And having met him when I was a kid, it leaves an impression upon you when someone has that kind of patience. Bearing in mind, English is not his first language. Having the patience to deal with a classroom of primary school kids who are, excitable and in awe of this man sums up his character, really. So there you go. There's a look at the career of Gianluca Vialli. We will do a video on Ken Block, and we will do a video on Pele in due course. Um, Ken Block, I mean, multi-talented in various forms of motorsport, and of course Pele is just the name. Here you go. If you like, just do Pele and just go. There you go. But we will do them in due course as well. They're going to be a lot more in depth because they had more of an impact on the sports they were involved in for different reasons. Pele just transformed the style of play, which obviously Vialli plays a similar role to Pele, ironically on the field. And a lot of players took a lot of inspiration from Pele. A lot of players playing today whose fathers or grandfathers were watching Pele at various points, or reruns of Pele, and they pass those stories on down, and they ultimately play the game. Ken Block bringing the sport of rallying and rallycross to a new audience and a new fan base in the US. Very niche sport at the time when he starts. By the time he's done, tens of thousands of new fans have been created across the Atlantic in the sport of rallying and the sport of rallycross in motorsport. So there you go. So those two videos will be coming in due course. But for me, thank you very much for watching. And of course, this is not one of those videos you like doing when these kind of things happen. But Gianluca Vialli, legend on and off the field. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll have some more content for you very, very soon.